This is my story, and I'm sticking to it. My grandmother lived in town, and we lived in the country. Well, my mom would take me in town on Sunday mornings, and my mother never went to church. But right across the street from my grandmother's house was a Nazarene church. And I started going there. And as a child, I went forward to the altar. And I knew what it was, and I knew that I had been saved. Well, when I told my mom, she made fun of me. And so it really hurt. I was always looking for my mom's approval, which I never got. Well, I was drinking heavily because we measured everything we did around the house and how much beer it would take to complete the task. And so I had decided that, well, I read in the Bible that Jesus drank wine. So I switched to wine. It just seemed to be the only thing that kept me going. Their life was just going along, and it was just going and being and doing. Well, in 1978, I had surgery. A lady that I was in hospital with, her pastor came to pray for her, and he stopped and prayed for me. Well, it was almost a year later, I decided to go to nursing school, which I had always wanted to do. And it was at Grace College in Winona Lake, Indiana. And you had to have a pastor's signature, and you had to attend church. So I said, well, I'm going to go to Pastor Miller's church because I liked him. So I started going to church. And it was on a Sunday, and this lady I'd been in the hospital with, she always sat right in front of me. And she said, now if you want to go to the altar, she said, all you got to do is reach up and touch me, and I'll go with you. So that Sunday, I wasn't even going to go to church because the weather was warm, and all my daughter had was a winter coat. But I went anyway. Well, that Sunday when they started playing the song, Love Lifted Me, that was all I needed. And I reached up and I touched her, and I beat her down there. And that's when the Lord showed me that I couldn't live life without him. And that was the beginning. Well, it was on my birthday in 1979. There was a baptismal service, and there was like 20 of us, and we were led out into a lake. And that's where the pastor did the baptism. And when I was baptized and I came up out of that water, I knew something had changed. And I had a full bottle of wine at home in the refrigerator that I had all intentions of going home and drinking. Well, I went home and I poured it down the drain. And that was that. And I knew, that day when I was baptized and I came up out of that water, I knew I was different, and that had to go by the wayside. That wasn't the life that I wanted or that I was meant to live. And life went on. My ex-husband, we moved to Findlay, Ohio, and I put him through the seminary. I worked and he went to school. And then we started in the ministry. We changed to the Assemblies of God. And so he was pastoring a church in Oberlin, Ohio. And we were there, and then we moved to, I can't think of the name of the town anyway. And then we ended up moving again, so there was like 3 different churches that we pastored. Well, in 1992, I think it was, he told me that he was leaving, and he was having issues with a secretary he had. Anyway, and so I began to question God, why? What is this? All of this is wasted. It's for naught. And that was a struggle to work through that. So what I did was I went back to the 3 churches that we had pastored, and I threw myself on the floor in front of the altar, and I just screamed out to God, what do I do now? And he began to show me that as I walked among the pews, that there were people there that I had made changes in their lives by being there. And so I was satisfied. And that it got me through that. I mean, there were tough times, but it got me through it. I just encourage people that even when you're far away from God, that He's there and He is working in your life. You can't see it. You can feel it, but you don't want to admit that that's what it is. But it's definitely there. God is always there for you. He's always reaching out, always wanting to do for you if you will just let Him. And that's the thing, is letting Him do for you. My name is BarbaraVogel. This is my story, and I'm sticking to it.